Hello and welcome to Lightwork Presents Everything is Connected, where we share inspiring stories on a wide range of cultural and social issues worldwide. We also feature exclusive interviews and have creative contemporaries who are shaping culture in art, music, and fashion join us. So stay tuned because you never know who we'll have on the show. I'm the host and creator Folasade Ologundudu, and thanks for listening. This first season, we're highlighting artists, curators, and art professionals from across the globe as we explore the African diaspora. We're also joined by the allies and supporters who seek to empower creatives of color throughout the world. We speak on issues of identity, love, spirituality, heritage, craft, and what it means to be a Black artist today, and all of the things that come with being a creative professional in the art industry. We share thoughts on life, work, business, and current events. No idea is too mundane, and no topic is off limits. Each episode, like each guest, is truly unique. Join us as we continue the journey of sharing empowering and inspiring stories. Let's go! Today, we're joined by Delphine Diallo, the Senegalese French photographer who was born in Paris and now resides in Brooklyn, New York, uses visual arts to create new narratives for Black women. Her work amplifies the many facets of Black womanhood that have historically and systematically been obliterated by Western white society. The three dominant narratives of the sexual siren, the angry Black woman, and the mammy figure have been used as a means of control. Delphine's work breaks down these false assumptions through a new representation of the Black woman archetype by exploring the mother, the warrior, the divine feminine, and so on. Let's jump right into our episode with Delphine Diallo. What were some of the pivotal moments early in your life that led you towards a career in art and expressing yourself creatively through visual arts?
This pivotal moment in my life happened in 2007, December 2007. I was 31 and I was just moved to New York and I was really lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I moved to another country, but I still didn't have answers. And I just met Peter Beard, great photographer from the 50s, 60s. He's like, when I met him, he was 75 years old. And he's well known for his wildlife pictures and imagery of collage of dead elephants, adding blood to it, adding most beautiful women, like celebrities, so it's a mix of wildlife, celebrity, and top model. And I met him in Paris at the dinner, a charity event, and suddenly something shifted there. I experienced a space where I didn't understand what happened, like a connection with a stranger who was actually very intense when it comes to his expansion. And I felt like, I can expand with him. Let me just talk to him and let's discover the world together. And we completely forget the rest of the people. And then for 4 or 5 hours, we talk about life. Science, physics, politics. We have 40 years difference. There's so much to say, right? From this great conversation and deep conversation, we start to have more discussion in Paris for the short time that I was there. And great convo, great friendship, and gone back to New York. Life is back to normal. And 2 months after I met him, he called me and asked me if what I was doing in April 2008. And I tell him, listen, I'm just really not in a good space right now. I don't know where my life's going. I am lost. I had so much issue when he called me that I was like, it's not the right time to joke about what you're going to do or not. And he's laughing. He's like, no, it's not true. You're going to come with me in Botswana. We're going to do this work with the Purity Calendar 2009. And we're going to photograph those celebrities, top model. And I want you to come with me as an assistant. Come. And I'm like, all right, I say yes, but I still don't believe you. And I was such in a low frequency that I didn't believe him. And then boom, production called me and that was it. I fly to Paris to meet him and then to Cassis, south of France. He tested me a little bit to see how I'm around him when he's creatively working. And that was actually perfect. And then we fly to Botswana. And this is where my life changed. This is where everything happened, where the wonder, the magic, the wonderful, the unexpectable, the unbelievable, the sacred came at the right time. At the same time, the wildlife, the desert, the stars, the fire with the bushmen, that was a lot.
Would you consider yourself a spiritual person? And how does your spirituality make its way into your professional work?
I'm a spiritual person. That's the question. And how does it influence my work? Yeah, I won't be an artist if I won't be spiritual. I think spirituality helps me a lot within my art practice. And I think they're both connected with a deep meaning within me and a purpose to emancipate the vision of Black women.
Did you have spiritual experiences as a young girl? Did you feel a sense of spirituality when you were young, before Botswana?
Yeah, but you don't know what it is because nobody's telling you. So I had a really good connection with nature, even if I was a city girl from Paris. I had a best friend, a horse. And I felt this connection with nature is very connected to spirituality because at one point when you become best friend with an animal, especially a horse, you connect, like he understands you. So there is a space here, like it's mystery and mystical because you don't know why he's understanding you.
And why you're understanding him.
Yeah, like both way, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you describe some of your work as therapeutic for you? And if so, how does that manifest in your life? Are you working through personal things in your professional life?
Life is personal, and then it doesn't mean that you're the center, but there is a beginning, right? And this beginning is this light within you, and this light within you is looking for expansion. So if I have to say that my work is a healing work, definitely yes. Of course, it heals me. When you grow up and you started to realize your personality, when I was in Senegal, I was feeling very connected with my family because they had the same behavior, like open, sharing, the circulation of the abundance. When it comes to someone's like asking you for things, I'm always being very social, and I think it's very Senegalese actually. In Senegal and West Africa, they are so welcoming, and my dad has always been like this. So the unconditioning of a patriarchal society on me, it's a work of lifetime,
Your work focuses squarely on the Black woman and empowering the Black woman, and also working to change negative stereotypes of how women's bodies have been objectified through patriarchy. Why is that important to you?
The reason why it's so important is because that was painful to grow up in a space where the Black woman body is being always objectified. And it's something that I start to realize when I was a teenage with the hip-hop era, and all those videos of specifically director Hap Williams, and other videos. So I grew up with this objectification in front of me, and this the only reflection that I could have within the body, the resemblance. And I felt like as an adult, I didn't really kind of connect at all with this vision of Black women. I just know there is another vision for Black women. I just know, but what it is, I have to live the experience to become like this. I have to become spiritual. I have to train. I have to have integrity. I have all the stuff from my childhood with my dad. It's a level of integrity and respect, from the respect that you have for yourself and your integrity. It can be now received, but also perceived.
Right. Can I ask a little bit for you to describe a little bit about your process? Where do you begin when you are working on something new? What happens when you've gotten to the point where you've solidified a new idea? And then the final steps of completed work. What does that kind of process look like within your practice?
This is complex because the process is the one who wants to be free. So I explained, the process is a space where creativity wants to flow. And you come in with your format process, and then it doesn't work anymore. And that's why I learned about the process. The process is always something that actually this move faster than you, or the way that I was doing my work before doesn't function anymore right now. For me, for my process, or for the way that I am right now in this pandemic, or the way that I want to process stuff is completely different from like before the pandemic. Right. I want to process things, everything completely differently. I want to cook different food. I want to process work differently. And I find my ways very interestingly more organic and less organized and categorized.
So you're almost like, as an example, working from a stream of consciousness.
Completely.
Everything is moving.
Yeah. I gave an example. I give an example so people can understand.
Yes.
I go to a friend's house in Connecticut, and they love my passion for African art and African sculpture and artifacts. So it's like, Delphine, I got Sotheby's book. You want those? And you can take them in your collage. And I'm like, sure. She gave me 10 books of Sotheby's with probably 400 pieces of. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. All right, so I'm going to cut them in pieces one by one. Well, I don't know how long it's going to take me. Okay, I don't have to care about the time because I have time, I guess. And then I cut them every day, and I think it took me like 9 days. And I'm like, oh, finished. I didn't even like see that it was kind of hard. I just processed the form because I need to process the form of every single artifact to understand my patterns of change. This is the creative process. The creative process is not the result. The real creative process is you processing the scissors following a different form. So if I want to tell you my process is this, my process is like something's guiding you, and this stream of consciousness who kind of knows before you just even react, and you just in this flow, and it's kind of amazing, and you're like, I don't know if people can believe me, but that's really happening.
It's interesting, but you know, creative people and books on creativity often talk about this flow state where the mind expands. The ego kind of melts. It's gone. It doesn't even exist anymore, and it's pure creation. Have you experienced that? I
do that. That's why it took me so many years to have people understand my work, because I don't have a format. So many years people look at my work and they try to say, she's doing portraiture. I mean, she's doing also like all this and then this. Oh, okay. No, I was mapping the sacred space. I need landscape, I need still life, I need portraiture, I need collage. This is the space of sacredness within the black female energy, and she doesn't have to be just portraiture. She has to be every single matter.
Every single manifestation of herself.
Yes. It took me 9 years to understand what's happening in my work. Like I have to stop and see the work together. And the coronavirus pandemic allowed me to be able to now see the full map. And now I'm able to come to you and talk to you about everything, because now I really know what is the work about.
And you didn't know that before the pandemic?
Not so vividly, specifically with clarity. I will, because I do it for a long time. But this hit me because I was able to see, I'm seeing all the work together now, not separately.
So many people I know have described this period as incredibly transformational for them. New awakening, new consciousness. We had so many beautiful, different types of conversations before we started this podcast. And there was one thing that you talked about just now in your response. You know, it's not just portraiture, it's not just landscape. And that got me thinking about the West, we talked about a lot, wanting to, not only this idea of control and patriarchy, but confining a person to a limited amount of potential, of creativity, of ability. What are your feelings on that patriarchy that is at its very root oppressive?
Yeah, and that's why the new generation of women will have to completely bend it. Okay, not destroy it. They're the destroyer.
Not us.
We're just bending things, curving, softness, elegance. Look at things with different angle and realizing that doesn't serve anybody. And then we keep moving. But the way that we're moving, it's more flow, and with the liberation of the fluidity. So let's say that if the big shift in the art world, that would be actually this one too. The big shift of the art world is because this art world was built on patriarchal society, and most of white male artists or most of the work is male, then do you think it's really art? Or do you think we're doing an art form who's actually very limited to only the masculine energy? This is bad, right? Does not look like that good as before. So then the feminine's coming in and bridging, like fluid coming in and seeing things and say, wow, guys, you build the school, you build movement, you build boxes for everything. And then the divine look at you like the artist who connected with the divine feminine knows that this is just a construct to make sure that they will not go to other places. And other place, it could be installation. It can be me doing an installation upstate with textile, whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be photography. It could be another thing within the vision. So if my gift is the vision, well, every possibilities I can put into the matter. That's how far like the question can go.
Yes, absolutely. This question is going to come out a little funny. Let me just get it right. So often in this world, we as people of color understand the concept and the very real fact of the white gaze within our lives. How important do you think it is for us, not only as women of the world, but as people of color, to strip away the white gaze of its power by representing ourselves and telling our own stories?
To be able, it's very important to be aware of the white gaze, first of all, and that's the first issue. The first issue is like, you're not aware of the white gaze because you like, a lot of people doesn't know how deep it is.
It's everywhere.
Like, I'll give you an example. The world of photography, 85-90% of photographers are male. And when I'm talking about them, about the white gaze, it's like, this is meaningful for you to understand what I'm talking about right now, because you don't want to talk about white gaze, but what you've been doing, guys, for the beginning of photography era, which is the 30s, 40s, etc., the photography worlds come from Western people taking indigenous taking pictures of indigenous. So your vision is holding an entire aspect of the psyche visually of the world, and then you don't think something is wrong there. And then the white gaze, what he does, he said, I'm now in anthropology, now I'm going to jump into fashion, now I'm going to jump into art, I'm going to jump to any vision, and I'm going to take over this. And it's going to be my male energy vision. And by the way, there is no other way. So that makes you believe, because the art of photography has been there for 70 years and created by the male vision, the masculine, and I'm saying male and masculine because patriarchal society, I want people to understand that the possibilities of a new vision, it's insane. Me, I'm one of them, but I know like that's coming. I'm kind of still alone on that. But I know it's going to be a lot. If once the feminine and the divine feminine within, especially the women of, like black women, will be awakening, they will create new vision. Not the vision that they saw before, not someone that they're going to copy from old celebrities or someone's celebrity now. No, the new vision has to come from something never been created before. That's how hard it is to process this imagination, is because we need to expand a vision into the future. And this future can be seen or imaginating if you're still watching science fiction movie from the white gaze. That's how it works. That's why they're mating you in this space and they put you more black people within those movies, but you're still remaining in the white gaze, and subconsciously you'll still desire what the white gaze wants. You want the same, but you don't know. That's why I felt the white gaze is that mind manipulation, blinded. You can't see it,
and therefore you can't escape it.
Then you can escape it. To be able to see it, it's to be able to create narrative and to create visions that you never seen before.
In order to move away from the white gaze, how important is our ability to dream and imagine a new world?
We need to live it. We can't just dream about it. We must live it. It's really important that we live it. Like the drum circle that I did with my Ethiopian brother, with my Eritrean sister, with Mexican girl, whatever I'm telling you right now, I have fully experience of a physical form within it, and that's why I believe. I don't believe because I just dream it. I saw it with my own eyes, and now indeed it is true. So you see, once you experience it, and that's why if people wants to create new narrative and new imagination and new vision, they need to live a different type of life.
Do you think that by controlling our narratives that we can free ourselves from the white gaze, or will it always be there?
Well, this is an unconditioning space. You know, you need to cultivate the process of decolonizing
the
mind, and it's a lot of work. I'm telling you, I'm doing this for 10 years. All this knowledge from the traditional and ancestral knowledge is the one who's been hiding from us. So my knowledge has come from what they don't want to teach me. That's the first cultivation. Then if you cultivate a different knowledge, you will be able to not being reacting anymore to whatever they're doing. It doesn't mean that you have to separate. There's no separation. We are all here on this planet. To be able to liberate ourselves, we need to cultivate a different knowledge.
I read a recent quote in Art News about your time at London's Frise Week and noticing that there is such a limited representation of artists of color within photography and the art world in general. How do you think we as artists and professionals and creatives of color within the art world can be agents of change to help include more artists of color, particularly women artists of color today?
I'm going to go straight to the point. People need to believe in us. The art world needs to believe in black women. They need to believe in a story and imagination and a new narration of black women in general. The sacred space that it's taking for a black woman to be acknowledged, it's so much work. It's only like 10 or 15 women right now, like black women worldwide, just known from the art industry, just known, not just living. I live from my art, and it's a struggle to be able to maintain because the support is very little. I feel in general there is 2 or 3% of black photographers. So I'm invisible. Do you know what I mean? So the invisibility doesn't allow my story or the new narrative to be expandable. Right. So the role of the art world and the role of a new world right now when it comes to inclusiveness, it's to now create space for new stories and for a new narrative, which they never heard before. So this require them now to be open to discover things that they would not thinking they would be interested in before, which is the story of the black woman. I mean, who is interested by the black woman outside of a death, Brianna Taylor, or outside of With the Stallion and Cardi B, and outside of the Queen Bee of Beyonce, which I respect.
Can I ask you a little bit about how and why mythology informs and takes root in your practice?
This is the roots of my work, for sure. I don't start anything without having a better understanding of mythology. I always looking for more information about mythology. I recently discovered more, information about the African philosophy, and especially the Yoruba, with their fantastic knowledge of non-binary world. People copy Yoruba. The Western world copy mythology
so many forms.
Yes. So when I'm doing this work of mystical patterns and music, soundscape, or I'm taking back my roots. I need my roots to be able to build the work. So my roots is not just only being aware of the Senegal or Africa. My roots is to be within the understanding of all the shaman in Mongolia ruled 300 years in Mongolia, and why the shaman was so important. How in African, era, the empire of Mali was extended to the entire West Coast. And what is the story is about? Why we don't see nothing about it? In South America, same. Colombia, very strong. I've been to Cuba, I've been to Brazil, I've been to Mexico, Place de Zocalo, very strong energy, The Mexican country, it's so strong.
Mexico is amazing. I went there 2 years ago. I just knew that I would go back many times in my life. And the only place that I've ever felt that deep connection was in Nigeria. What do you think stories of mythology and ancient cultural traditions can tell us about our world?
Human being can't live without mythology. If there is no story, there is no past, there is no history. So mythology remains to the psyche of mankind, womankind, I'm going to use new words, and realizing that the story of Artemis or Athena are very, similar psyche of Kali, the goddess of destruction and transformation in India, and then Oya in Yoruba, in Nigeria, she's the same as Kali, she just have different form, but the psyche is the same. In China, they did the I Ching, the Book of Change. They were not doing psychology, so they analyzed people with patterns. If you don't know about the ancient knowledge, which is based on energy, vibration, patterns, nature, the story of mythology, the wisdom of the ancient are very important because they belong to you too.
You've often described your work as giving a gift to your subjects as opposed to taking something from them. Why do you frame your photography and your practice in this way as a form of gift giving?
If I really go on in this patriarchal society and I can't define my work differently, the way that the way that I have to photograph my subject, then indeed I'm doing the same. I'm doing the same thing that the white man, which is I'm taking the soul. So if you go back to mythology and tradition, you know that most of people in indigenous culture doesn't like you to take a picture because they tell you you're taking the soul, and they're right. It doesn't matter if you believe or not. They believe you took it, so they believe they lost a part of themselves, giving you the soul. That was not an exchange. So what I create in my work, giving a picture means the women in front of me are allowing me to take the picture. I am asking her if she feels okay. She come home. I'm shooting everything in my temple. So she has space for herself to express herself. And I really, really want to be a friend. And this is not something that I am doing because I have to do it. This is what is being transformative within my practice of photographers. I'm a different type of photographer.
Different type of artist.
Yeah, the photography itself, the eyes of the beholder becomes the giver. And if the eyes of the beholder is a giver and not a taker, then you can really see that within the feminine energy there is only giving and not taking. And this society has been built on taking. For me, this is one of the biggest control of the colonized mind, the colonized taking. So then the psyche has been repeating itself in any form. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, that's the colonized mind. And I think this is the first job that people need to do, is to uncondition themselves from taking instead of giving. And it's very hard because they don't believe they're taking. The reason why the world is in such a bad place is because there is too much takers. But then you can ask someone, what are you giving to life?
The average person will probably not have anything to tell you.
Yes. Are you giving to life, or are you taking from life? Do you always want something? What are you giving for life for this? You deserve it for what? And pretentiousness has to go away at one point, because it's really, what are you looking for? Are you looking for being enriched from within? But the exchange of the friendship and the giving and the food and the welcoming and the invitation, it's an art. If you really know who you are, you won't have even a doubt of who you're dealing with. The people who are actually with the right frequency will actually be surrounding you, because this is it. This is the bridge. The bridge is like that dimension of consciousness. When people are conscious, doesn't have to even talk about this, because I'm fully understanding that. It's very recent. This is such a fulfilling process, because I don't need anything. Like, I don't feel I need anything. And I think that's the consciousness realm. When you really accept your life, you really accept the problems that you have during the day. And this is where you remain the creator of your life, when you learn from your softness. Because there is toughness within us, right? Especially black women.
100%.
But I can't wait for people to discover this beautiful softness and curve of the black woman emancipation, because she's the one who's carrying this gift of life, you know?
Yes. As a final question to wrap up the episode, what are you most excited about right now? Or what are you most interested in seeing happen in the future? Whether in your life, professionally. You can answer that question however you want.
Yeah, but it's a very good question right now, because I have this answer recently. I will say that because I have an expansion of consciousness, then I have an expansion of love. And that expansion of love makes me realize that all the people that are surrounding me are actually in good health, and that's pretty amazing. So the expansion is realizing the map, and then suddenly you realizing after the downfall, which we're experiencing right now, there's going to be an amazing moment, shifting and transformation. I'm already in it, actually. I'm already in it. I'm already in the future, because I'm present and I'm aware of it.
That's our episode with Delphine Diallo. There were so many gems and insights that have stuck with me since this conversation. Much love to Delphine. If you want to learn more about the great work she's doing, be sure to check out the description box of this podcast with more details. Well, there you have it, folks. It's a wrap. Check us out on our next episode as we continue to connect with artists, curators, and art professionals of color in our exploration of the African diaspora, including the allies who work to support and empower these artists and professionals through their dedication in the field. As always, stay motivated, stay inspired, and stay up. Peace and love, y'all. We out. I'm your host, Folasade Ologundudu, and catch us on our next episode. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time on Lightwork Presents Everything is Connected. Conversations on culture and current events with some of today's most exciting creative contemporaries.